ask you how, in your reporting, have you seen this impact the community, the region even?
Go ahead.
From what I'm hearing, people, it's not, I'm going to quote a Flo Valley student. Her name is Robin Locke Clark. What she said is not a black and white issue, it's a blue issue. People, from what I'm hearing, particularly African American people, are tired of being mistreated by law enforcement. And that's the general sense that I'm getting from the community. And I think that there's an effort on behalf of the Missouri State Highway Patrol Captain Ron Johnson to rebuild that trust.
And I hear a lot of the same things. I mean, there's just, when you talk to people who are out either protesting or out in the community near protests, you know, many members of the African American community tell the same story over and over again. They feel that they're being targeted by police, they feel like they're being harassed by police, and they don't have a lot of trust for police.
And then specifically, what have you seen change over the past almost 2 weeks?
Well, in Captain Ron Johnson's leadership, I've seen him engage with the community in an effort to rebuild that trust. You see him on TV shaking hands, listening to the community's concerns. I personally asked him about allegations of police being harassing peaceful protesters, and he said that he has dealt with that issue. He wouldn't elaborate, but he is making those steps to make it better. That's what I've been hearing.
I hear a lot of change, you know, calls for change, systemic change. You know, when you talk to, you're going to have some faith leaders I know on the show later on, and this is what you hear, that this is time to really address some of the root causes, the root frustrations that have exploded over the last few days.
Tim, you don't always take a gas mask with you to cover stories. You're normally on the education beat for St. Louis Public Radio. Are you seeing, I'll put this to both of you, are you seeing the past couple of weeks issues beyond what happened there in Ferguson? Or is this connected to other issues that you might have covered in education?
Well, sure. I mean, there's frustration in general, I think, about, especially within the African American community in North St. Louis County, about feeling like they're not necessarily getting the best education, or that they're, you know, with the school transfer issue, which you've done coverage of, had shows on, that they feel like resources are being taken out of their school systems. And I think that there's just this building frustration that there's just this huge gap, you know, between what perhaps other people have access to.
As far as issues, this is something that you see across the nation. If you look at Eric Garner and the illegal chokehold death that NYPD did, if you look at the Ezell Ford, who was shot and killed by police 2 days after Michael Brown, this is a pattern that you're seeing across the country. And to quote the Reverend Al Sharpton, when he was here on Sunday, he said, the people are tired and enough.
So why is this taken off like it has, not just here, but across the country? We've seen Times Square shut down in solidarity with what's going on in Ferguson.
People are just tired of injustice. Injustice not just for African Americans, but injustice for people everywhere in terms of police brutality. And people are tired and people are taking a stand. That's what I'm hearing in the community when I'm reporting.
Yeah, and Brigette, I would just echo that sentiment. As I hear from a lot of people that this is not necessarily a race issue, this is a human rights issue, that this is something that transcends race. From your reporting, from the people you've talked to, does it cross class lines? If it is, this is clearly a race issue too, but does it cross class lines within the African American community?
I believe so, because it's an issue that affects all people, regardless of what your socioeconomic status is. Would you agree or disagree?
I think that it depends on who you're talking to. I mean, I think that that's really what it boils down to. It's felt differently by different people, and even within the same socioeconomic group, you know. But certainly, I think in my reporting, when I talk to people who have higher levels of income, they tend to feel like they have better interactions with law enforcement, but that's not always the case. And it's a very complicated issue, especially when race gets involved.